Hello, beautiful souls. I'm here with you today as both a trauma-informed holistic nurse as well as a breathwork guide. And I want to begin by acknowledging the courage that it takes to be here, to lean into this conversation about our emotional landscapes when the world often tells us to just push through, to be strong, and to keep moving. I'm speaking with you today, not just as a healer but as someone who has walked through the fire of overwhelming emotions and found my way back to wholeness through the sacred practice of conscious breathing. Today, we're going to explore something I call emotional resilience, the art of feeling fully without drowning. This isn't about becoming invulnerable or building walls around your heart. No, true emotional resilience is about developing the sacred capacity to feel deeply while maintaining your center. Like a tree with roots so strong that it can bend in the storm without breaking. We'll be diving into three key concepts today. First, emotional resilience. It's not the armor that we wear, but the flexibility that we cultivate. The second is grief. And this isn't just about death, it's about any loss, change, or disappointment that moves through us. And third, emotional processing. This is the art of allowing our feelings to flow through us like honored messengers rather than trapped energy that wreaks havoc in our bodies. We'll explore the hidden cost of emotional numbing. We'll understand how emotions become stored energy in our fascia and in our nervous system. We're also going to honor the wisdom of cultures that we know who know how to grieve together. And I'll share breathwork practices that literally saved my life during my darkest moments. So take a breath with me now. You belong here. Your feelings belong here. Let's begin. A few years ago, I found myself curled up on my bathroom floor at 2 a.m., sobbing so hard that I couldn't catch my breath. I was drowning in what felt like an ocean of grief and rage. Here's the thing, I was a healer, a nurse, someone who was supposed to have it all together. And so for months, I had been doing what I taught others not to do. I was just pushing through, staying busy, numbing out with work and anything that I could do to keep me from feeling the magnitude of what was moving through me. That night, my body finally said enough. What I was experiencing wasn't just emotional overwhelm. It was what Dr. Bessel van der Kolk describes in The Body Keeps the Score as the inevitable consequences of trapped emotional energy. And when we don't allow those emotions to move through us, they literally get stuck in our fascia. Our fascia is our connective tissue, and it creates the tyranny of the past. That's what Dr. van der Kolk says. And as Brene Brown so beautifully puts it, you can't selectively numb emotions. When we numb painful emotions, we also numb the positive emotions. And I was living proof of this. In my effort to avoid feeling my grief, I had unknowingly shut down my capacity for joy, my capacity for connection, even for basic presence in my own life. And from a physiological perspective, chronic emotional suppression creates what van der Kolk calls a chronic state of hyperarousal and dissociation. This means our nervous system gets stuck in survival mode. It's constantly scanning for threats while simultaneously disconnecting us from our bodies, which is the very place where healing happens. I was experiencing this as insomnia, digestive issues, chronic tension in my neck and in my shoulders, and what felt like emotional numbness punctuated by overwhelming waves of anxiety and paranoia. What I've learned through my own healing and in witnessing many others is that emotions are not abstract experiences. They are energy in motion. And when that energy gets trapped in our bodies, in our fascia, in our connective tissue that wraps around every cell, every organ, every muscle, it creates emotional fossils or these crystallized experiences that keep us stuck in our old patterns and pain. And so that night on the bathroom floor became my greatest teacher. It showed me that we don't have to choose between feeling everything and feeling nothing. There's a third way, the way of conscious feeling, of using breath to create space for whatever wants to move through us. Let me share with you what I wish I had understood during those months and what I realize now, even years of emotional suppression. Dr. van der Kolk's research in The Body Keeps the Score reveals that traumatic experiences, and I include overwhelming grief and emotional pain in this, become literally stored in our bodies when we can't fully process them in the moment. And so my nervous system went into what Stephen Porges calls dorsal vagal shutdown. It's a numb, disconnected state where we feel like we're watching our life from outside of our body. But because I didn't have the tools then to help that trapped energy move, it settled into my fascia like sediment on a riverbed. So you can think of your fascia like a vast communication network throughout your body. It's a white web-like tissue that you see when you're preparing chicken. Yeah, that's the tissue that holds memory, emotion, and trauma. And when we experience overwhelming emotions without the capacity to process them fully in that moment, that energy literally gets stored in our connective tissues. This is why someone might touch your shoulder during a massage and you suddenly start crying, or why certain yoga poses can bring up unexpected emotions. In the book, Dr. van der Kolk writes, "The body keeps the score because the body doesn't lie." Your tight jaw, your chronic back pain, your unexplained fatigue, they're not character flaws. They're not signs of weakness. They're your body's way of communicating what your mind might not be ready to process. I like to think of emotions as weather systems moving through the landscape of our body. And when we're present with them, they flow like natural storms. They can be intense, but they're temporary. When we resist them, though, it's like building dams in a river. The water has to go somewhere, so it backs up and it creates floods in unexpected places. So I finally became into a place where I understood what my body had been trying to tell me. My exhaustion, my pain, the emotional numbness, it was backed up grief and rage that needed to move. And breath, I discovered, was the key to opening all of those dams. Before we became a culture that pathologizes sadness and rushes healing, humanity knew something that we were desperately trying to remember. Grief is not meant to be carried alone, and emotions are meant to move through us, not get stuck in us. In Ireland, the practice of keening, which is women gathering to wail and sing their sorrow, was understood not as hysteria, but as medicine. The Irish knew that if grief unexpressed becomes what van der Kolk would call frozen energy in the body, but if grief witnessed and honored becomes a bridge to deeper connection and literal physical release. In Mexico, Dia de los Muertos transforms death from an ending into a celebration where families gather to laugh, cry, and feast with their ancestors. The communal expression of emotion prevents what modern trauma research shows us, that isolated grief becomes complicated grief, stored in our bodies as chronic tension and disease. Indigenous communities worldwide have always known that grief is sacred work, often marked by specific rituals, time frames, and community support. These weren't just cultural traditions, they were sophisticated, trauma informed practices that understood how emotional energy moves through the body and the nervous system. Contrast this with my own experience and our Western medicine approach. Well meaning friends would say, "Stay strong," not realizing that what I needed wasn't strength. I needed permission to fall apart safely, to let the tsunami of grief move through my body without judgment or timeline. It took me months to understand that my body was literally storing all that unexpressed grief. The tightness in my chest caused shallow breathing, and the way my shoulders had crept up to my ears, it was all that grief that I allowed myself to fully feel or express in the presence of others. What these ancient cultures understood is that when we grieve together, when we allow our emotions to be witnessed without judgment, we don't just heal our individual wounds, we prevent emotional energy from being trapped in our bodies. We remind each other that feeling deeply is not pathology, it's the pathway to freedom. Let me tell you about the moment that changed everything for me. It was that night on my bathroom floor when I finally stopped trying to control my emotions and I started breathing with them instead. I had read and heard about breathwork, but I had never understood its power until I was desperate enough to try anything. From a neuroscientific perspective, conscious breathing is the fastest way to shift our nervous system state and to help trapped emotional energy begin to move. And so when we breathe slowly and deeply down into our abdomen, down your spine, we activate our vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is the highway between our brain and our body that Vanderkolk calls the royal road to recovery. But breath is more than biology. As I lay there breathing through waves of grief that were so intense, I thought that they might break me. I understood viscerally what ancient wisdom traditions knew. Breath is the bridge between holding on and letting go, between being stuck and being free. And what I discovered that night is when we breathe consciously with difficult emotions, we create what's called a sacred container. This is an inner sanctuary where we can feel safely without being consumed. My breath became my anchor while the storm of grief moved through my body. Let me tell you about the exact breathwork practice that helped me that night. And I use it now whenever emotions feel too big for my body. This is what I call breathwork for emotional release. And it's designed to help trapped energy begin to move while keeping you safe and grounded. So, find a comfortable position where you can breathe freely. Place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly, and feel the weight of your body supported. We're going to use a gentle connected breath that helps activate your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest state, while creating space for the emotional energy to move. We're going to breathe in slowly through our nose for a count of 4, imagining that you're breathing into any of those tight or heavy places in your body. And we're going to hold gently for just 2 counts. And then we're going to exhale through our mouth for 6 counts, making any sound that wants to come out. A sigh, an ah, a groan, a cry, whatever feels natural. So let's try the first one together. Inhale, hold, exhale. Allowing any sound to come. Let's try it again. I'll count for you. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can pause here and do that as many times as you need to. And when you're done, notice what you feel in your body. Maybe some tingling, maybe some emotional waves, maybe nothing. It's all perfect. Just keep breathing with whatever you find. Now take 3 natural breaths, feeling, really feeling your body breathe itself. Notice any shifts, any movement of energy. This is your body's natural capacity to process and release. And this is always available to you. This practice literally saved my life. It gave me a way to be with the intensity of grief without drowning in it. Building emotional resilience isn't about becoming unshakable. It's about developing practices that help you stay connected to your center while allowing emotional energy to move freely through your body. These are the tools that became my lifeline on my healing journey. So, first, I would like you to create what I call a feeling sanctuary. This is a sacred space for emotional processing. Mine is a little hobbit hole that with a round window that overlooks a bunch of green, and everything in the room is green, and it's soft and velvety, kind of like moss, but it's delicious to lay in. And so that spot in my mind with a soft blanket, a candle, a journal, and a smooth stone that I have picked up that really helps to hold and to rub for that grounding. And when the emotions get overwhelming now, instead of running from them, I say to myself, let's go to our sanctuary and breathe through this together. So keep these in your resilience toolkit. 1, touch. I learned to place both hands on my heart when grief waves hit. This gives you the holding that you need. You can place it, maybe it feels better to place your hands like this, whatever feels right to you. Sound. Humming and sighing both released trapped energy in your fascia through vibration. And movement, gentle swaying or stretching while breathing helps the emotions to move through your connective tissue. And last, mantra. I use, I am safe to feel, and I am strong enough to heal. And here's something that I discovered. Emotions stored in fascia need gentle, consistent attention to release them. Just like you wouldn't try to untangle a knot by yanking on it, trapped emotional energy needs patience and breath to unwind. And sometimes I'll breathe into my tight shoulders for 5 minutes while rolling my neck around, rolling my shoulders, just inviting whatever wants to move to move. And here's a question that changed everything for me. What emotion have I been holding back from feeling? Where do I notice that it lives in my body? And what would it be like to breathe with that sensation? Not to fix it, but rather just offer it my presence. Try that. See where it takes you. Remember, emotional resilience is built gradually. Start with 30 seconds of conscious breathing with whatever you're feeling in that moment. And trust that your body knows how to release what it's ready to release. I want to leave you with the reframe that saved my life. Your emotional sensitivity is not a weakness to overcome. That's right. It is a sacred capacity that connects you to your deepest wisdom and most authentic power. Years ago, I thought my emotional intensity was too much. I thought that I was broken, that feeling so deeply was a character flaw. And today, I understand that my sensitivity is what makes me an effective healer, a present friend, and a fully alive human being. In a world that profits from our disconnection, feeling deeply is a radical act of resistance. Your grief and your emotions connect you with every other human on this planet who has ever loved and lost. Your joy connects you to the universal pulse of aliveness. Your anger connects you to your values and your priorities, as well as your boundaries. And when you allow these emotions to move through your body, instead of allowing them to get trapped in your fascia, you become a living example of what it means to be fully human. Grief, in particular, is not a problem to solve. It's a doorway to deeper connection. When I finally allowed myself to grieve fully, to let that energy move through my body with breath, with tears, with sound, I didn't just heal my own heart. I became someone who could hold space for others in their darkest moments because I had learned how to hold space for my own. So here is my loving invitation to you. Please send this to someone. If this practice resonated with you, send it to someone who you think needs it. And subscribe, because we'll be diving deeper into body-based practices of healing together. And if you noticed any emotions showing up in your body during this practice, I'd love for you to leave a comment and share so that I can help witness your awareness and share what you have learned. And if you're feeling called to experience the power of breathwork for emotional release, I have a trauma-informed breathwork practice every week on Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. I'd love for you to join me. It is a free practice. You just have to go to vitalexplorations.com to sign up and register ahead of time. And remember, beloved, you were born with the capacity to feel fully and love deeply. Your body knows how to heal. Your breath knows how to create space for whatever needs to move within you. Trust that capacity. Honor that sensitivity. The world needs your tender, resilient heart exactly as it is. So let's close with an affirmation. Place both hands over your heart and repeat after me. I am safe to feel. My body knows how to heal. My emotions are energy seeking movement. I trust my breath to guide me home. Breathe that truth into your body. You are so much more resilient than you know. Until we meet again, keep breathing, keep feeling, keep healing.